Absent. Tyler is absent. So Kim.
Here.
John.
Here.
And Deb.
Here. Okay, so the first item is the approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I didn't ask for that yet, but that's okay. Thanks. Good job. All in favor?
Aye.
Check. So is anyone here for public forum? Dee Dee? No? Okay, then check. Moving on. So next on the agenda is the oral reports, but we could skip since we do have Adam here from Story Construction. Do you want to skip and do your part first, and then
Sure.
we'll go out of order?
He's so excited. He can't even talk.
My election is coming.
So no, it looks like so we'll skip down to section 6, the two change orders.
Yes.
That's on the agenda.
Which was a late add to the agenda.
Thanks,
just
Jim.
in time. So I appreciate that, Gail. Two changes to talk about tonight. The first is for the greenhouse footings and slabs. When we bid our first bid for the greenhouse, at the time we had no design information for the foundations because we didn't know who was going to be providing the greenhouse. When we bid the second time, we didn't have the information from the greenhouse supplier. So this is now updated information that defines what the greenhouse supplier that was low bidder requires for a foundation and slab for the greenhouse. It wasn't included before because we didn't have details to include. We didn't know what the price, we didn't know what to include. This is the cost for that. Hala and Story have both been through it, and we both recommend acceptance. So I will propose to the board the overall cost is $18,800. Do you want me to pull up the overall change? I don't think I sent you the details on it.
What's the difference between this and what we had budgeted?
I don't.
So this was not budgeted
Okay.
because at the time we didn't know what it was. So this would come out of the owner's change order allowance. That's included for $550,000.
Okay. So the entire cost of the project is coming out of change orders.
Anything from this point forward that's a change will come out of that change order amount.
Okay.
So there's another one here. So there's a drain pipe that we found, which on the as-built drawing says it's deeper than it actually is. So it interferes with the foundations. So that would also come out. And I can get into details on that next. Do you want to see the detail backup on this before you guys vote on it?
No, I'd just be curious that we would have thought the greenhouse had to have a foundation.
Right.
You know, but for these dollars.
There wasn't an allowance included. We probably could have included an allowance at the time.
Okay.
That wasn't included.
Okay.
Oversight on our part or
Yes,
his
no
part,
worries.
somebody's part.
No
So,
worries, no worries.
So that's what that change is for, $18,800. And then I said the next one is conflict between existing storm pipe and footings of the Bandroom addition. There is a storm drain line that comes out to the north. Was called out to be, they laid out the footings so that the drain pipe would be inside of the building. When we probed and did our potholing to locate all the utilities, it ends up being right underneath the footing. And it's too high. The other thing was the elevation showed that it would be about a foot below, and it's actually like 6 inches into the foundation.
Which building?
High school band addition. So Hala and Snyder and Associates, their civil designer, came up with a plan to take the storm drain outside of the building to get away from the footings, and then once we get to the end, we 45 back into the manhole that's outside of the building that we were supposed to tie into.
So you're happy with the solution?
Yes. There's another line that was supposed to tie in to this line that we're relocating, and we're actually taking that from inside the building to outside for the main utility part. And then when ACI is on board, they will have a shorter run to install inside. This change is $10,425. This is only the utility guy and the foundation guy's work. When we sent this out, this is fairly critical because they're moving to put those foundations in later this week. So we did not include ACI in this because we haven't gotten ACI's contract back signed. It's expected to come back this week. So they could not price anything at the time because they were in the contract. So there will be a credit from them that will offset some of this cost. So this cost will probably be $5,000 to $6,000 overall instead of the $10,000 that's in right now. We just don't have the credit back from ACI.
With putting those foundations in, would that be moving you ahead of schedule due to the mild weather?
We're essentially on schedule.
Okay.
Our foundation contractor actually wanted the ground to freeze. I know it sounds kind of counterproductive, but
To get out of the mud.
yes, exactly. To get out of the mud and the slop that's created by the thawing effect of the warmer weather. So like today they dug, there was like an inch of frost, they said. In some areas there was 0 frost. So the blankets we have up there are keeping the ground warm underneath. They dug the entire west addition, art room and 2-story addition today, and they'll put rebarring tomorrow and possibly pour that tomorrow. So, and then by the end of the week, they'll be jumping over to the main room to get started on those foundations, and if approved, they would go to start relocating the utility, and it would be out of the way and done before they would pour those foundations. Those are the 2 that I currently have today. Those are the 2 that I'm aware of. There are any others on the board or on our list or not. I will have a summary page that I'll share. Since these are the first 2, I don't have it prepared yet, but it'll be a spreadsheet that shows all the bid package contracts and then the changes for each one.
Okay. My question was going to be that. So these are the first 2 that are coming out of that change order budget.
Correct.
And so we'll have a running item
Correct.
to see this
Yep.
is how much is
Yep.
left. Okay.
So this is about $29,000.
This doesn't deal with the change orders, but tomorrow night we have another, or tomorrow afternoon we have another meeting, is that right, for bids?
We have the intermediate elementary school bids are due.
So if you're looking at something to do 4 o'clock right here, you can watch them open the bids and see where we're at on that.
Yep.
Okay.
Any other questions?
When would that work get started on the mechanical and?
Intermediate elementary school?
Yeah.
So we have talked with some of the contractors. There is some work in mechanical rooms that they could do.
Okay.
We were anticipating it happening all next summer.
Okay.
That was our original schedule. Talking to a couple contractors,
They might have their time.
there's stuff in mechanical rooms that wouldn't affect school operations
I see.
that they could do, and it would actually help them not squeeze
So much.
3 months, so much work into those 3 months. There was also an idea of maybe looking over spring break, if there was work they could start and finish all in a week.
Yeah. Oh, perfect.
So, yeah.
Okay, so these are listed separately. We can choose to approve them as one, or do you guys feel we need to split them up? I would like to maybe do them as one. Okay. So, can we have a motion to consider approving the change orders as presented?
So moved.
Second. I'm sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Check.
Thank you.
Thanks,
you.
Evan.
Thanks, Evan.
Okay, so I think we can go back up to oral reports. Is that right?
Yeah,
Okay.
so you want those priorities? or
Yeah,
the- Yeah.
first one is the 2018-19 district priority.
I think by the end of the week, you'll see posters up and everything will be taken care of there. I know that's later than what we'd all hope, but that's my understanding, so that'll be taken care of at that time.
Okay. And next, looks like there's a guidance update perhaps by a guest speaker. Not a guest, part of the family.
Yeah, for real. Can't get rid of me. I've been here a long time. So I am here to share with you some updates from our counseling team, and I'll just jump into it if that's okay. So this summer, we started off strong by meeting this summer, and then of course things that we did last year, specifically planning for our mental health night. Like this summer, we both had some really great talks in here about what our year's going to look like ahead, but then the whole afternoon of kind of shoring up and who needs to do what for the mental health night. That was a big part of that day. Our mental health night was well attended with great information pushed out to our community as well as surrounding communities. We've tried to push it out to other surrounding communities. And on that note, we're really proud that other nearby communities have kind of taken heed of that, and they have started their own mental health grants. We got it in Lone Story now, as well as in Ames County. We do look forward to maybe tweaking a little bit as we move forward. We want to make sure it's not the exact same thing year after year. We want to get more people coming. That's one of our big goals moving forward. We're really fortunate right now to be a part of an AEA course called Counselor Academy. In that, all 5 counselors are meeting 4 times a year. We've met twice now. Our next meeting is coming up in April, and we're really working with the ASCA aligned. ASCA is the American School Counselor Association. That's really the mindset and behavior standards from. A lot of those things will be covered in our K-5 guidance classes, as well as in more in the specific counseling classes that Jackie is doing, Jackie Parker at middle school, and then the bits that Paul and Jordan are doing at high school. So the other piece of that is really working on being K-12 comprehensive, not just being our own separate entities. And on that, we're really, really thankful. With talking to administrators, they have pushed and encouraged us and allowed us to have regular meetings as a PLC, as a counseling team. We're finding, I know specifically for me, to the intermediate, we're having really great conversations on, hey, this is what's worked with kids before, let's try to continue that, or what's something different that will work for them, as well as making sure we have a scope and sequence that goes K-12, and then I should say K-12, because I did have some really great conversations with our school teachers, so it's really around that too. We really have had a great sense of connectedness in that. We just started just before break, but we're excited to continue. We meet once a week for about 45 minutes, and we're seeing good benefit to that. Professional development, we had the opportunity to have professional development on a Wednesday afternoon in December. Dr. Warren Phillips, who has Central Iowa Psychological Services, SIPS, here locally, as well as in the Des Moines area, and he is a lecturer at the state. He's amazing, phenomenal resources and his knowledge. He provided key information on how to best support students who may suffer from trauma. There was a high focus on self-regulation and positive, healthy relationships. That is the number one way to combat trauma. And we get to do that as teachers with how much we are with kids. So he spoke to that, what trauma is, and how we can do something about it. You know, language we can use with students, relationships we can build with students. And then piggybacking off of that, we got to have staff experience their own self-care, teaching them that you have to take care of yourself. You cannot work in an empty cup. You've got to take care of yourself. And we had some different stations where they got to about 30 minutes of their fire reading, baking, coloring, yoga, rock coloring, games, volleyball, and basketball. Tournaments as well as a totally team and planning that. So that was a phenomenal thing, and a piece of that was really amazing was that the verbal feedback we got from that was phenomenal, and we even have a staff member at the intermediate school, Ray Hamers, that then has began a staff initiative on self-care follow-up. That was a piece of it, was to make sure you had somebody that you were working with that knew that you need to take care of yourself, and same thing, you to them. At the elementary specifically, we're really excited for some materials we just got from the Education Foundation, which include yoga mats. Some student books focus on emotion regulation and kindness toward both ourselves and to others. Some of our big focuses this year on both mindfulness and kindness. We're utilizing Second Step as a strong base for our social and emotional learning. All of our students receive this instruction in guidance class. Outside of guidance class, I get to collaborate with teachers, work with individuals in small groups, as well as communicate with parents. Again, we're continuing that strong relationship focus for all of our students, because we know that yes, students with trauma are going to be supported in that way, but all kids can benefit from somebody who cares about them. At the intermediate school, Natalie and I get to work really closely together, going from K to 5, and we both have that guidance component to what we do. She is, again, using Second Step. Her and I really work closely together to make sure we have a scope and sequence that's progressing forward for our guidance classes. And she pushes out an email regularly to staff on the core concepts so teachers can reinforce that social and emotional learning with our curriculum. Her main focus this year is transferring those social and emotional learning skills out of guidance into the classroom. She presented, at our ISTIC conference, the Iowa School Counselors Association. She presented on motivational interviewing, which is a strategy she often uses with her students, and she's currently running for the ISTIC President-elect to grow her leadership skills that she plans to bring back to our program. Currently, she didn't say this, but currently she's the treasurer. She's a great connection that we have with ISTIC, and she does that very well. At the middle school, Jackie is utilizing needs assessment data to develop and guide the school counselor program. This includes using this information to provide developmentally appropriate services, especially at the Tier 1 and Tier 2 levels. Jackie hopes to find additional ways to make the program more comprehensive as the school year continues to find more ways to expand student competencies of the ASCA mindsets and behaviors outside of the guidance classroom. On that, I just want to say we're so happy to have her at Gilbert. She feel like she's done a great addition, and she shared how welcome she does feel. So that's a great thing to know. At the high school, their really big thing right now is working on implementing small groups, utilizing both Jordan and Paul together to make sure they're reaching students' mental health needs as well as those academic needs. Do you have any questions about what's going on with us?
I got a couple.
Yeah.
So tell me about the small groups, because I do think that's where students that are struggling, if they feel connected to a small group.
Well, we're doing small groups at every level. We're working with them at every level. Do you mean specifically at one level?
Pick one.
Anywhere. Well,
Yeah.
I can speak to my well, I can say for sure, like our Tiger Time that we have has been a great time that can devote to small groups. So I either currently, and I think I can speak for myself and Jackie and Natalie for sure. I know it's a little bit different in high school, but again, that's something we're working on. I meet with kids on self-regulation and how you feel a big emotion. All feelings are okay, but you're super frustrated about something. What do you do about it? That's an uncomfortable feeling. You don't want to sit in that forever. So we'll talk about that sometimes in the group. We might play a game to get frustrated, and then what do we do about it? And so we work through that together. Another thing that I might have a small group for is friendships. That's a really big one. I know Natalie has that as well. Just helping people feel more connected to each other. So when you have someone that, well, I know that they don't have a friend to play with, and now I'm coming together and I hear that, oh, they don't either, suddenly we have a friend right there. It can be that natural. Other times we can just brainstorm kids that we have to play with. We put a friendship plan in place, which can be really great. Another one is worries. I have kids that I work with at the elementary level have anxiety. And then not diagnosing that by any means. You just see those worries coming out really strong, and most of them might be little kids. So I know that only increases as they get older. Hopefully we can see stuff at the lower levels to help them as they get older too. The other one's confidence. That'd be another big area that I'm working with kids. That I know has come up in our counselor PLCs now too, and how can we support kids and grow their confidence.
So you mentioned also mindfulness.
Mindfulness.
So tell me how we would do that at the high school level. I find that very interesting, just with everything that's online. It's pretty easy to be everywhere but where your shoes are at. So I think this is kind of big. Yeah, I find it very interesting.
You just read the Julia Cook book. Where your feet are. So I'd be happy to give that to Jordan Paul. I mean, if I gave them where your feet are, but Julia Cook. But I know a big thing I know Jordan has talked about, and I'm jumping into this. Jordan has talked about doing something very similar to what we did with staff in the future. So with staff, we had 30 minutes to do nothing. Not to do nothing, but to read a book, to bake, and to be present while you were there. Really push that out to staff. To, hey, while you're here, don't get your phone out, don't get your email out, don't talk shop.
And it's almost impossible to get people to do it, isn't it?
But with intention,
Right.
Like, I mean, so really that's where you're going with that. So Jordan has talked, as I said, she really pushed that out with staff, and she's talked heavily about doing that.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic, because I think I see it in my own kids, and so I know it's a problem, and so you can't conquer a problem until you identify it. And when I read that, I was like, wow, that's big, and that's a problem society-wide, not just in schools. Oh, for sure, Yeah, well, that's great comment.
Yes. And just to kind of piggy off of that, so Lindsay and I went to the legislative forum just before Christmas, where we got to speak to the various representatives in our state, and what most of the schools in Story County, I would say, participated. And they mentioned that mental health concerns were their number one issue that they felt like they were dealing with. So it was nice. Of course, Lindsay spoke at it and kind of shared some stuff with it. It's nice to hear all the things that we're doing, and I think we have been for a couple of years now. I know Natalie used some Tiger Time last year for like anxiety support group for kids. That I think was wonderful. They were using it, and I know that money is tight, but I love how we're kind of creative.
I think with that said, though, if we look at how we've grown in a really great way in that area. We've talked about that as a team. We're so thankful for the support that we've had from all of you about allowing us to have all of us that there are, and we get to work together. We have time now to work together to, sometimes you're on your own island, it's really hard, but to get that additional support, but as well as to have them in power. So thank you for that.
Dee, I'm going to tag on to what she said, and I would applaud the guidance department on what you're doing overall, because I think you guys are doing a great job but especially in that mental health. Like she said, when we were talking to those schools in Story County, you talk to any of the schools. Mental health is a big issue, and you guys are hitting that head on, and we greatly appreciate all your work.
Thank you. We're happy to do it.
It's great that we can treat mental health as a health issue here and not as a, some schools have to approach it with resource officers and maybe approach it from a different angle, and I'm just very thankful for
And
what you
thinking
guys
about
do.
hiring that second counselor at the
Yeah.
school, I know they're doing a ton there to support students. And you can't have a relationship with one person with 500 kids.
Yeah.
And how great for them to have that and how are there at the older levels too.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
for what
Yeah,
do.
thanks.
Thanks. Okay. Sorry. Looks like next is announcements and celebrations.
Anyone have anything that they'd like to
Everybody
share?
else ready to share announcements and celebrations?
Started play practice for the middle school musical. It's a Little Mermaid. They had a record number of kids audition, which is awesome. Girls. We're still short on getting the boys to do it, but it's pretty exciting. So this was the first week of play practice for that.
And what is it?
The Little Mermaid.
Who doesn't want to be?
Little Mermaid Junior. I think it's the shortened version. So come on out when it's out there. It should be good.
It's been a good start back. The kids love the snow today.
Did you do your annual snow announcement? Don't the principals come over the thing and at least at elementary school and intermediate and remind everybody don't pick up the snow? Did they used to?
I might
My
have
kids
reminded them this morning
drop the snow.
to have fun in.
Yeah.
We had the winter formal this last weekend, went very well, it was well attended, kids were well behaved, and it was just an overall good event. We got finals this week, ready to start second semester soon, so things are rolling.
I got one thing. Deb said I could have 90 seconds, no more. I'd like to just share with you very quickly about Wednesday night, the January 9th. Thank you for Kim and Deb and Carrie for all the work put into that. We did have about 55 to 60 people there. Some of the questions that they broke off into different groups, the questions were, what do you see to be the unique strengths of the Gilbert Community School District? What do you perceive to be the potential areas of growth or improvement in the Gilbert Community School District? Where would you like to see the Gilbert Community School District focus their efforts over the next 3 to 5 years? And what does the Gilbert Community School District graduate need to know and be able to do? And then if you're a recent grad, they had one that says, now that you've been out of high school for a semester or more, how could you have been better prepared for your current reality? Good opportunity. We had break-off sessions. I think that we were worried about the time frame, and I think that we probably could have even taken more time. But just wanted to let you know. I think, Carrie, and if I'm wrong on this, let me know. I think one of the things that we had sign-ups so that they gave us their email and things like that. And then there was a question if people wanted to participate more in this, and every single, am I correct?
Every person checked, said yes.
That's fantastic.
Nice.
It was amazing.
So now you have engagement.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah,
fantastic.
there wasn't one
but,
person that, even the recent grads, I mean, that was an awesome thing to see that. So.
Yep. Good night. You guys have anything you want to add to that?
No, it was a great night, always going into something, you wonder how many people are going to come and find it to be a worthwhile event. And, people were laughing and talking coming out of their rooms. It was, everyone gathered again at the end of the event. I'm excited. I'm excited to find out.
People didn't
how they
like
process
sneak
things.
out afterwards.
No.
They all
No.
came back into the auditorium after the small group session, which sometimes you see, because there was some lag time in between there was 5 different groups, and they all didn't end at exactly the same time. So there was a little bit of time in between, and they either, we ran out, we had no snacks left, which would be good, but that's usually doesn't happen. So there was people that were milling around before we went back into the auditorium, and that's kind of telling too of how they felt about it.
A lot of chatter.
Yes.
A lot of excited. I was happy to see representation from the various groups. We had a good number of community. I think we had the alumni, students. So, and my hope is just that they will talk So the next time we do this, the word gets out that it was a worthwhile event, and maybe even more people will come. You know what I mean? I think
Yep, I'd agree.
that's awesome.
What kind of does the timeline look for how we plan on moving ahead with it? Was that presented at that meeting night? Or I don't have a sense of it. If somebody asked me, I wouldn't be able to tell them. You know.
They did a
Yeah.
little bit.
It was my understanding next board meeting, right, John and Jim will be back to
Okay.
present to us.
And I think that we have one coming up the 30th.
End of January.
End of January, we have a small group meeting to talk about some of the things and coming back to the,
Kind of lay out the
February
next-
11th. Yeah.
Next 6 months or whatever the case.
Yeah, yeah.
Fantastic.
So, great. Okay, any others? I think we have board reports, the IASB annual convention experiences. Now, this has been on the agenda, I think, for a while. That
Well,
was
with
a
2
ways
people
back.
missing, we got an excuse.
Right, exactly. To be honest, I don't have much of an update myself. I went to a few different sessions this year. I don't know that I have anything special to report back. One was on data collecting and sharing. It was interesting, but I don't necessarily. I think the highlight of my month, it was like November, December, was the legislative, to be honest, which I shared. Do you have anything?
I really don't, I was going to just visit about Wednesday night.
I would just request that we just go one more round when we got everybody back. And then if nothing gets recorded next meeting, then we'll get for it. But I had some stuff that was kind of fun, but I kind of want the other board members to be there before we talk about it.
Okay, no problem. Next item on the agenda, Gail, is district evaluations. I think she's smiling.
Yeah,
Reason to smile.
we are fortunate here to see another growth of, for this is budget year.
Wow.
This is budget, I mean, blow it up a little bit more.
I guess they can.
And, so overall, it's a 7.21%. So as you can see, the trend, that's very, very healthy. So what that will allow us to do is, as we plan our budget year, that will approve, that's April 15th, and by April 15th, we to maximize our 405 and prepay our levy, our bonds, so we can have grow more capacity for future. So with this will allow us to prepay more if we keep the 405. So yeah, that's this is hot off the press. I think I got it like Friday morning. Boone got Story County earlier in the week, and then Boone County came in Friday morning. So overall, very, very good for us.
Interesting. So next on the agenda is the 2019-2020 district calendar. We have to set a public hearing for next month. I don't know. Is now a good time to ask questions about that, or do we save that for the public hearing? No,
I think you can go ahead.
Board,
Can I
yeah.
ask a question?
Sure you
Yes,
can.
I can. Anybody can, right? My question was just starting on a Friday seemed odd. And I know, I kind of remember all the way back to kindergarten days. It's like, boy, starting off with a full week is rough. I totally get that. August 23rd is the first date that that the state allows. And so we're taking advantage of that for Friday. I just didn't know what people thought about that.
I suppose if you don't,
I think our
you have to take it off
teachers
at
would rather say they'd rather start on a Friday than a Monday. Because that makes for, I mean, because you're thinking of the routines and all that you have to go through at the beginning of the year. And it is nice to have a few days now. We don't have the luxury. We've historically started on a Thursday, but the calendar doesn't allow that for us this year. So knowing how those routines are taught, I think in every building they'd say they'd much rather start on Friday, just get started when they can, than trying to go that full week, because that's a long week for kids. I mean, I think of like our little kindergartners.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's a long week.
I didn't know
Just to
if
get
we
used to
ever,
it.
starting on Monday's crazy. I just didn't
Maybe
know
I should.
if there was conversation about the next week or not. That's
Stacy, did you have something you wanted to add to that?
No, just, that was, staff has had a few questions about that, but just in terms of the Friday start, but I think they appreciate, like, as long as you get started, that's another day. You add that day to the end of the year, and now we're,
That was a good
That's
question.
a good question. Any other questions on it? Again, I think we'll put I think this is looking at putting the public hearing on the 11th. Any administrators have anything that they'd like to say regarding the calendar? I mean, I know the 11th is the official day, but pretty quiet. Okay.
Okay, so I think we move on to old business. We only have one item. It's the third reading of the revised board policy 604.6.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
I'm going to turn things over a little bit to Vic. I had an opportunity to talk to Vic and Paul on multiple occasions here. And one of the things that we're trying to do is we're trying to make sure that we're meeting those needs for those PSEO classes, but also making sure that we met all the requirements. So Vic, I'm going to just, maybe you want to talk a little bit about some of those things that have been changed there.
Sure. All we did is update to what the Department of Ed allows us to do. So the Department of Ed, for the Senior Year Plus document, has some specific guidelines that you have to follow, and every district in the state of Iowa have to follow. So a little bit for clarification, we're talking about a couple different things. We're talking about PSEO, which are our state universities, versus the dual enrollment and concurrent enrollment classes offered at a community college level. Okay? So when we're talking about PSEO, there is specific guidelines that we have to follow, and they give specific bits of information. For example, number of credits you can take, they set that guideline. For example, in the summer, you can only take up to 7 hours in the summer. That's the state guideline. It's outlined by this document. They do not, during the regular school year, they do not allow students to take more than 11 hours, because 12 hours are considered a full-time college student at that point. So there is actually some guidelines related to how many hours you can take. And then there's also guidelines with specific classes you can and cannot take. So for example, they do not allow you to take a comparable course that is already offered at your school. So if it's offered at your school or a comparable course at your school, you cannot take it as a PSEO. So what we did is we just tried to update our policy to match with the state guidelines.
One question, Vic. You said that up to 7 was actually crossed out. Did you mean to remove that? Do you see right on that, when you talked about the summer and the second paragraph?
Is that not supposed to be stricken?
Is that not supposed to be stricken out?
Down.
It's highlighted, but it also, it's stricken out up to 7. Right? The third yellow.
Yeah, it should be up to 7. It should not
It
be.
should-
up to
it should
7.
not be.
That's
Okay.
that's just a mistake. Now, the thing is with the summer, the PSEO classes, for summer courses, parents are responsible for paying for those. If it's courses that are offered during the school year, then we pay the $250, which includes the course, or the cost of the course plus the textbook. So 7 hours is what is, the guideline is set by the Department of Ed. What other questions do you have?
One thing, so I was kind of getting up to speed on some of this, and some of what, it makes sense, right? And thank you for doing this and presenting it this way. I think for a while there was just confusion. Maybe we're coming at it from different angles and kind of telling a different story, and I think sometimes parents were confused. The way I understood it, this is the practice that we've been following. We needed to update our policy to reflect it. So it isn't that we've been acting out of compliance. Our policy just didn't reflect how we were treating them. There's a packet about this thick on the Iowa Department of Education. It's actually a pretty easy read. I mean, to go through it, that explains all of the
65
details.
pages.
It is 65 pages, but explains some of the rationale, right?
Yeah, all the school
State
districts in the
universities aren't looking
To
to
give you just a little history, I don't want to make this any longer than I have to. At portions of times, at one portion of time, community colleges really struggling with enrollment. So they needed to do something to boost enrollment. And that's when they started moving toward the concurrent enrollment and dual enrollment in order to get high school kids some college credit while they were going to high schools. different, okay? So they've kind of opened up a little wider set of rules. A PSEO, universities don't have to do that because they don't have enrollment issues. They already have a very large group of kids that come in every year, so they can tell you exactly how many credits you can take, and they can tell you exactly what types of classes you can and cannot take. And they have the ability to do that. The funding sources are different. You know, for dual enrollment and concurrent enrollment, we actually get charged a little more, but we get a kickback. A little bit of a kickback with PSEO, we do not. You know, we pay $250 for the course in the book, and then that's it. But the Department of Ed has a little stricter guidelines for PSEO.
I don't mean to complicate anything, but
Sure.
this is kind of new information for me. So would there be a possibility of having more flexibility with community colleges than we have with Iowa State, with the
Yes.
idea of, hey, we could take a class, even if it's offered at Gilbert, if it would allow them to participate in scale, for example. So I would love to be in scale, but guess what? I got to take biology.
Yeah,
And,
we have that
and if it's
flexibility now.
and if it's between those two,
Yes.
well, right. And my only question just would be is are we communicating that to the kids? Because what I got feedback on the scale is, well, I'm not going to do that because I got to take biology if I want to keep on track with
Let's see,
everything I want.
I'm getting a little, we have that ability now. We have the community college, we have tons of flexibility there.
Okay.
Tons, it's wide open, you can take whatever you want there. It's
Okay.
PSEO that we're locked
But
into.
the hitch is probably more students are looking for Iowa State University
That's the
classes
problem.
than-
The
than-
feedback I'm getting about scale has very little to do with that I have to take biology. It has more to do with, I would rather take PSEO versus
I see.
scale.
Okay.
Like,
And now if we
you know,
got state law, then
If I could take
that's-
3 hours of PSEO at Iowa State,
Okay.
why would I participate in losing 3 periods a day going to scale? It's just kind of what kids want and how they want the credit, you know, virtually. But the route through DMAC and through concurrent enrollment and dual enrollment is wide open. We can do whatever we need to do to make it as flexible as possible. And they did that because school districts, a lot of rural school districts did not have the flexibility to offer courses. And so they opened up the guidelines very wide so these small districts could get access to classes that
That they
maybe.
couldn't get otherwise.
Right, but PSEO, universities don't need to do that, because they say we already have a large audience coming in every year, our enrollment goes up every year, but we don't need an influx of high school kids basically filling our classes, so they've set some guidelines, like, it makes perfect sense that you can only take 11 hours, you shouldn't be a full-time college student while you're still in high school.
Sure.
You know, that's a
No, that
simple-
provides good clarification
perfect sense.
because I think some of the information I was hearing was probably people going to community colleges, not to state university, so then you're kind of like,
Yeah, if you wanted to take
Yeah.
something else, and so you could fit scale in your schedule, if you did that through concurrent enrollment at DMAC, you can do that. You know, like a career academy or something like that, you have tons of flexibility in there.
right.
But there's not any wiggle room at PSEO, there's
Yeah.
state actually.
Well, I think that's
mandates.
kind of helpful, and why we do it the way we do it.
Yeah,
And people like the fact that PSEO is $250 paid by the district, and they pick up the credit for it, correct?
yeah, it's, you know, you get a
Probably
good
who
deal.
doesn't like it's Iowa State who could charge
It could charge you.
Should charge more.
$1,000
1,300
versus
to another student,
Right.
which is probably why they put those restrictions on.
They do.
Payback classes
Yeah.
available in high school, why do you?
When they wait 2 years and have them take it for $1,000,
Yeah,
you know, versus $250, you know, and it's the cost of the book also,
Yeah.
which the cost of the book is not more than the cost of
Yeah.
the class.
this is the, I'm sorry, you interrupt me. This is the document right here. So, Iowa Department of Education, it's really called Senior Year Plus.
Yeah.
And it really, if you look at that, if you do a search on that, it gives you this packet, so it outlines concurrent enrollment, it outlines
Career academy,
PSEO.
dual academy,
It explains some details that I thought it was really helpful. So I just wanted to share that. You can
Did you
just
read that,
copy it.
Jen?
Well, I did.
Did you
I
really?
know. Well, I was trying to learn.
We have
But,
tons of
good.
flexibility through DMAC. We have
yeah,
wide open, you know.
but if you are interested, that's definitely a resource.
We
a
clearly,
resource.
we clearly try to steer kids toward taking our classes first, obviously, that we feel that we offer a good product and want kids to take them on campus. But there are always going to be conflicts that we work around, and we do our best to, you know, make those obstacles out of the way if we can. You know, sometimes it just doesn't work in schedule, so we have to take an online class at DMAC instead. You know, there's just things that pop up. PSEO is a little different.
Any questions on that?
No, thank you for the clarity. That's helpful, very helpful.
Thanks, Becky.
Okay, so this is our third reading. Obviously, there were adjustments and changes to it, but this is our last chance. I think where we have to kind of revert back to the old policy. I know there's 3 of us, that's enough. I think we need to. So do we have a motion to approve the revised? Second.
She wants us to wait.
Okay, all in
We're
favor?
good.
Right. All in favor,
We're
okay.
back.
So that was approved the revisions of that. So now it's in alignment with the state regulation. Okay.
Can I ask a question now that we've
Is that
done that?
No.
No.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I should have
Is our concurrent policy in line? I mean,
Yeah.
it's all, so it was just this one policy that's out of whack? Okay.
Thanks. That's a great question. I'm sorry. And I did not ask if we had further discussion. You guys can stop me if I keep going too fast.
You have no desire, you're on track. You're doing
Okay.
great.
So I think we can go on to new business. It looks like we have 5 items. 4 of them are bond items, right? And then the 5th one is a separate school budget review. So
We have a tight timeline. Our money comes in Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. And so in order to get this processed, we need to approve all these, and I will physically drive Wednesday to meet our school attorney to exchange documents. So this has no time to put it in the mail. So,
cool. So
thanks for having a quorum tonight so we could do that.
yes. Do you guys want to have discussion on it?
We just probably should just have what the costs are associated with that. You have
Okay.
that handy, David, or?
For 71 yeah.
The cost,
Yeah.
I do not have the cost of,
I think it's in the agreement. I
um,
don't want to take that.
We got that. Is that the agreement? You said it should be the agreement, right?
yep, I'm looking at the transfer agent agreement.
Is that what you were
The
asking for,
transfer
John?
agent agreement, is that what you're talking about?
Well,
Agent,
it's all resolution.
and confidential.
I don't think that's the big part of it.
Payments.
Well, it's on that.
Is it something about that? And is it something that would change? It's recorded.
These are.
So can we maybe get that posted after the meeting?
I'll just say, send us that information.
Okay.
I will,
Okay.
It'll be in
yeah, I don't-
keeping with what's being created in the past on bonds, but
And
I
it's based on the amount of bonds, the fee. I mean, this is only 4 million compared to the 10 that we need it. And I'm not seeing it, like, yeah, I'm not
And it's
seeing
probably
anything.
in the bond agreement, it's probably in the bond that we've already approved, that, the bond agreement. I looked
I
at
know
the
that
last one.
when we had the bid, there was, I was just thinking there might have been some fees attached to
I
that
think there
last
was too,
time.
so
It would have been
we-
like at our last
We've
meeting when
probably
we had
already
the bonds.
approved the fees already, this was just that, so I'll move approval.
Okay. Do I need to do, I think I need to do each of these separately, don't I? Okay. Okay, so do we have a motion to approve the resolution appointing paying agent, bond registrar, and transfer agent, approving the paying agent, bond registrar, and transfer agent agreement, and authorizing the execution of the same for the $4 million general obligation school bonds?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? We'll get that information after that. So, yeah, okay. All those in favor? Check. Okay, next one is, do we have a motion to approve the form of tax exemption certificate for $4 million to go bonds, Series 2019?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? No? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Check. We're moving on, guys. 7.3. Motion to approve continuing disclosure certificate for $4 million in go bonds.
So
Series.
moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Further discussion?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approved. Last one. Motion to approve resolution authorizing the issuance of bonds and levying a tax for the payment thereof of $4 million in general obligation school bonds, Series 2019. Do I have a motion to approve that?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion?
No.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Approved. Okay. Then 7.5 is separate, right? And
Yes.
Lindsay, this is the approval to request the school budget review for the
Right.
modified.
I think Gil's, I don't know what she's bringing up for sure. This is a time-sensitive thing. Actually, tomorrow is the deadline for this. We went over this with you on the 20th as far as the breakdown. I think that what we're asking for is the
Maximum.
maximum there, and that is it 309,647.
So moved.
Did you have something to add to that, though, Gail? I didn't
No.
mean to stop you from saying something there.
Okay, motion to approve. So, yeah. Second?
Second.
Okay. Discussion, just a question. You said the maximum that we're allowed based
Yes.
off of everything?
Yep.
Okay, got it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Approved. Next item on the agenda, it looks like review of financial reports.
I don't have much, so I will just keep it brief, but we are on track. Our revenues are a little behind, but that's all in the timing. We can't really control when our revenues come in. So that's the only red that is showing. I did, after reviewing the budget versus actuals for next month, I have, I'm going to smooth out I'll show you what I mean, on the plant operation and maintenance. It was based on what was the previous year, but it went from, in October, the budget was $120,000 for the month, then it dropped to $115,000, then in December it dropped to $92,000. I'm actually next month going to smooth those out and make them more consistent because that isn't what's going on this year. So as we go through this is the neat thing about it. Based on 1 year, we look at it. In the second year, we have something that's happening different. So then we make changes as we go along. And I need, it's too big of a drop from $115,000 to $92,000. So I'm going to make those a little bit more equal next month. And you won't really see it because the end of the year, it will be exactly the same. But I don't like the variance, the monthly variance. So I'm going to tighten that up a little bit. But overall, things are looking good. We're on track. And does anybody have any questions about the green and the...
We're having our big review. We have in
February.
In February.
Travis will be here in February to review basically long range. So that'll be fun and interesting. So, and then we just found out what day was that? Friday, I think. We had this transformer for the brownage outage, brown out or whatever. that happened May 24th of 2018, right at the end of the school year here. The transformer gave out. And so we turned it in insurance, and it turned into be quite a project. And we found out we own the transformer, which I had no idea that we could own transformers, but we do own transformers. It will not be 100% covered by insurance because we've updated it. It was old, so they're going to cover probably about 40 to 50%. So we're talking about maybe the whole project being around 50,000 out of our, but we're running everything through Pebble. So, and what do? You know what? It is what it is. So, we just found that out today.
And that transformer, there's a brand new transformer sitting right outside of Amy's building over by where you used to come into the old office. And then we ran new wire from that over to the street. So hopefully, if you remember last year that we had, I think this building wasn't able to have school one day. Hopefully, we're avoiding that by bringing that new wire. We're just getting, the wire underneath the ground is old, and we had to do some replacement. The transformer was old, so that's kind of the reason, but we were hoping that the insurance would cover it more than what it did.
Do we have the attorney represented on that? On the claim?
Oh, we don't, but I never thought about that.
Well, I'm just thinking, are they really living up to what policy said, but if you'll buy off on 40 to 50 when it should be, 75 or 80.
Yeah, I never thought about that.
You can sure
You
check
can
it.
sure look at the language and say it might be well worth,
Didn't know we own transformers, but we did.
some legal cost.
Have to? I guess you have
And you can just rely on their opinion of, hey, this is what the language read.
You might have.
And if you don't want to.
Oh, no, we can.
For $50,000, I think it's worth a conversation, right,
That
just to see.
seems a tad low, 40 or 50.
It's worth a try.
Or at least to see the documentation of how did you come up with it. And if you believe that, if they
Well, there definitely should be an appeal process.
Yes, yeah.
So most
And-
insurance, you have the opportunity to say, I don't agree.
Right.
There was stuff.
Yeah.
And then as we go through, that was the PEPL, a little bit on the PEPL, but the activity nutrition showed improvement this month. And so our burnout rate that we showed that was going to be 14 months actually turned around, and it's a net gain. So we've had great conversations with Deb.
Yes,
She has things under control. She knows what needs to be in place. She's got great ideas. So we're in constant conversation with her about staffing, constant conversation about supplies and food. But it's interesting to see I don't want to burn your eyes here as I go through here, but I was going to go through. And so if you just kind of look at the expenses from September, start of school 52, and then October and November expenses. And then now December, we're back to, 55. So, and she feels like, the 50 mark is normal. Plus, she feels like we're spending way too much on salaries and benefits. But, salaries and benefits are, September and December are pretty normal. So, hopefully the numbers of September and December in the 50s mark for expenditures versus the 80s in October will be our norm.
It's your revenue side though, because your costs are fixed, and so you just have to have, your wages are going to be there no matter what, so you just have to get more lunches through.
Right.
But if you look at the commodities, what is the reason in October and November that
It
the
jumped.
bill, I mean, is that?
Food, it's food, and so it's purchased food that was
Well-
purchased inventory on hand.
But, so, don't we have a couple times a year where we take on big
commodity, big orders. of
Big
commodities.
orders?
Yes, we do. But this is food and commodities, so I'd have to, commodities, a few things have been, she's addressing and is going to address. She did not have a clue of what we had on hand. for
Okay, so
commodities.
she's doing regular order or
Yeah,
inventory?
and then she's
Okay.
changing how things are getting ordered. There was, not to get in a lot of detail, actually,
Sure.
she's going to come here in February just to give an oral report. And there was some standard ordering.
Okay, okay.
So she's changing up some procedure
Okay.
things.
Yeah.
We've talked about, the other thing we're doing is we're keeping track of every building, every day on participation percent. And then we're going to link that to our menus so we can get some visuals. And then track that on help on, okay, so this is the information, what are we going to do with it? Here's the menu, here's the participation. So with that information, what do we need to do to increase participation?
I like that she's considering a food fair too, if you look at her nutrition report, just so the kids like, or wouldn't it stand to reason that in December when you already had 2 weeks of vacation where people weren't eating? Would that also account for that?
I really am apprehensive to say what happened at this point because we've had so much change.
We'll take a look at
So
the
much
next month or so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as we go,
Talk to her about that in February. Maybe in February we'll see more.
so she will be here to give a report in February.
Okay.
Yeah,
At least it's headed in the right.
Yeah, and it's a catch, basically.
Yeah.
Don't do the building, right necessarily.
Anyway, is that?
She's gonna have to get participation.
Yeah.
It comes down to it.
Yeah, and it looks like she's got ideas. That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Kudos to her.
So that's, unless anybody else has any questions on the financials. No? Please have one for financials.
No.
Okay. Public forum, there's no, looks like we're okay there. Nobody's here today. Okay. The next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. So before we go ahead and look, there's a couple of changes that have been made since the board packet, I think, was initially sent out. It is a part of the board packet now, but there was a revised personnel report. We had a resignation after Friday. So that's something that you'll see in there. And open enrollment is there, but there's no open enrollment request. So do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda, or do you want to pull out items and discuss?
Move approvals.
Is there a second?
Second.
No discussion? No? Okay. Approved. Oops. All in favor? Sorry, I was worried my pen didn't work. Sorry. Aye. Okay, approved. Looks like the next item is the calendar. The next item on the agenda. So do you want me to go through each item and just, so you guys are aware? Listen up, are you ready, guys? This is it. Got some busyness. Tomorrow, January 14th at 4 o'clock, we've got the bid. The bids will be in for the.
Be there, you bet.
Be there, sounds like that's, I
Great
think that's,
place.
yeah, Lindsay will be providing treats.
Yeah, there we go.
Then January 21st, we have at 6 p.m. That's when we have the joint meeting with Gilbert's City Council. Do we know how many people are in attendance for that?
I will post it.
Okay.
So
I mean,
what I'll do is I post it as a meeting for ours in case we won't have anything on the agenda for us to take business, but in case we have a quorum, I post it and then,
Okay.
unless you know of some items that we need to take care of, I was just posting it to meet.
Okay. 23rd is the bond series closing date.
22.
Oh, I missed the
Or
23rd.
excuse me, the 22nd we have on here.
Oh, sorry about that. January 22nd, 6 p.m. public hearing, special board meeting to approve the bids that will come in tomorrow. Yeah, January 23rd, then the next day, I'm not sure what day of the week that is.
That's a Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Our 4 million will come in.
Yeah. And then we have a regular meeting on February 11th. Yeah. And that's when we'll also have the calendar hearing as well. Okay. Any other items or things to add?
That, the school board, or the joint meeting, is that going to be held here?
Oh,
No,
I thought so there, isn't it?
it's at the City
City
Hall.
Hall?
City Hall.
City Hall.
Okay. Okay. So I think that wraps it up. Do we have a motion to adjourn? No? I'm sorry, why is everybody looking at me like that?
You made a great time.
So moved.
So moved, second?
Second.
Discussion? No. I'm sorry. Motion, all those in favor?
All right.
Okay. Meeting is adjourned at 7:02.
I'm glad you didn't go based on my timeline.
Well done.
Wow,
It
nice.
wasn't much too long. Did I go too fast?
Did you already turn that off?
I have no clue.
Right,
No, you
Dennis.
did fine, yeah.
You're still on.
Door.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.